Welcome back to another true crime episode here on the Cold Case Project. As you can tell from the title of today's video, we're diving into the mysterious and unsolved disappearance of a young woman named Heather Teague. Heather was only 23 years old when she vanished on August 26, 1995 in Spotsville, Kentucky. This case has baffled authorities and her family for nearly 3 decades, and it's marked by a few truly unusual details, including the eyewitness account of a man who claims to have seen her abduction in real time. Today, we're going to explore Heather's life, the events leading up to her disappearance, the key suspects, and some haunting theories that keep this case alive. Heather Teague was born on April 25, 1972. She was a petite woman with striking green eyes and brown hair, standing about 5 feet 2 inches tall. Known for her friendly and fun-loving personality, she was a light to those who knew her, but her life was cut short far too soon. Her disappearance left a void in her family and friends' lives, who are still searching for answers. Now, let's jump to that fateful day, August 26, 1995. It was a hot summer day, and Heather decided to spend it sunbathing alone at Newburgh Beach in Henderson County, Kentucky, a secluded spot along the Ohio River. That afternoon, however, what should have been a peaceful outing turned into a nightmare.
What makes Heather's case particularly unique and unsettling is the involvement of a man named Timothy Walthall. He claims to have seen Heather's abduction unfold before his very eyes. Timothy was at home on the opposite side of the river, preparing to sit down for lunch, when he decided to take a quick look through his telescope aimed at the beach. To his horror, Timothy says he witnessed a man approach Heather, grab her by her hair, and drag her into the woods at gunpoint. According to Timothy's description, the alleged abductor was a white man standing around 6 feet tall, with brown hair and a bushy brown beard. He estimated the man to weigh between 210 and 230 pounds, and said he wore blue jeans but no shirt. In a panic, Timothy picked up the phone and called 911 to report the incident. However, he admitted that he waited about 20 to 25 minutes before making the call, hoping Heather might return to retrieve her belongings. When she didn't, he knew something was horribly wrong. The police immediately responded to Timothy's call, sending officers and search teams to comb Newburgh Beach and the surrounding woods. They brought in search dogs and scoured the area, but they couldn't find any trace of Heather. Her belongings remained on the beach, eerily untouched, but Heather had vanished without a trace. With limited evidence to go on, the police turned to potential suspects based on witness reports and the circumstantial evidence available. Shortly after Heather's disappearance, a witness told police that Heather's car was parked next to a red and white Ford Bronco in the Newburgh Beach parking lot. Upon investigating, police discovered that this vehicle was registered to a man named Marvin Dill, better known as Marty. After receiving this tip, police pulled Marty over and searched his vehicle. Inside, they found an unsettling array of items, including multiple firearms, a length of rope, knives, duct tape, rubber gloves, and a strand of brown hair. To many, it seemed like a smoking gun. This discovery raised suspicions that Marty might be involved in Heather's disappearance. Additionally, Timothy helped police create a composite sketch of the abductor, and many people thought it bore a strong resemblance to Marty. However, Marty's family and friends disputed this identification. They claimed that Marty was bald and clean-shaven at the time of Heather's disappearance, while Timothy described a man with a full head of brown hair and a bushy beard. Despite these discrepancies, the circumstantial evidence continued to mount, and authorities kept a close eye on Marty. When Marty learned that police were coming to his home to question him about Heather's case, he tragically took his own life. By the time officers arrived, he was already dead. For many, this act added a layer of suspicion, leading them to believe he was hiding something. But for others, it's left questions about his potential innocence and whether he might have been overwhelmed by the pressure and scrutiny surrounding the case. Heather's mother, Sarah Teague, has been at the forefront of this case, tirelessly advocating for justice. In the early stages of the investigation, Sarah was led to believe that Marty was likely responsible for her daughter's disappearance. The police's swift identification of Marty as a prime suspect made her initially believe he was involved. But over time, as Sarah's own doubts grew, she began questioning the official story. One aspect of the investigation that has been especially troubling to Sarah is the 911 call made by Timothy. From the very beginning, Sarah was eager to hear the call, hoping it would offer some clarity. However, police repeatedly denied her access. It wasn't until 2008, 13 years after Heather went missing, that Sarah and her attorney were finally permitted to listen to the call. Even then, she felt as though the full truth wasn't being disclosed. In a strange twist, when Sarah was allowed to hear the call again in 2016, she believed it was different from the one she had previously listened to in 2008. According to her, the initial call she heard focused on the abductor's description, while the second one did not. Police, however, insist that it's the same call, leaving Sarah to wonder if crucial information has been omitted or altered. Another suspect emerged in Heather's case, a man named Christopher Bello. Christopher lived in the same county as Newburgh Beach, and, chillingly, he fled Kentucky on the very same day Marty took his own life. Additionally, Christopher was known to have ties to some of the same acquaintances as Heather and Marty, sparking rumors that they may have moved in similar circles. Christopher's criminal history further complicated matters. In 1991, he confessed to the attempted involuntary manslaughter of a woman named Catherine Fetzer, who, like Heather, vanished without a trace. Catherine's body has never been found, and Christopher has been a suspect in other missing persons cases, each involving young women who shared similar physical features with Heather. Authorities suspect he may have targeted women fitting this description, but they've never been able to definitively link him to Heather's disappearance. Christopher is currently serving time in prison, though he is due for release soon. Over time, another unsettling theory has emerged. Could Timothy, the man who reported Heather's abduction, have actually been involved? The timing of his telescope sighting has raised suspicions. Some wonder if it's too much of a coincidence that he happened to look through his telescope just as Heather was being abducted. And there's also the issue of his delayed 911 call. If he had indeed witnessed a violent abduction at gunpoint, why wait nearly half an hour to notify authorities? Heather's mother, Sarah, has voiced her own doubts about Timothy's story. She's mentioned feeling uneasy about his consistent presence throughout the investigation, noting that Timothy often seemed to show up whenever she was called to the police station. This frequent presence only heightened Sarah's suspicions, though she has stopped short of accusing him outright. As with many unsolved cases, other theories have surfaced. Some speculate that Heather's disappearance was the result of a drug-related crime, possibly a deal gone wrong, given that she was known to sometimes socialize with people who had connections to drug activity. Others believe she may have been the victim of a police cover-up, or that someone other than the primary suspects orchestrated her abduction. Despite all these theories, the fact remains that Heather Teague's case is still unsolved. Nearly 30 years later, her family and friends are still left wondering what really happened on that warm August day in 1995. Heather's mother, Sarah, officially declared Heather dead in 2007, a heartbreaking decision that allowed her to access FBI files on the case. She was granted hundreds of pages of reports and leads, but no definitive answers. The lack of closure in this case is haunting. Heather went to Newburgh Beach that day to relax, and she was never seen again. It's chilling to think that someone could be taken in broad daylight, yet leave behind so few traces. The only witness to her alleged abduction, Timothy, has a story riddled with oddities and inconsistencies, leaving more questions than answers. Could it have been Marty, the man with the loaded car, who ended his life rather than face questioning? Was it Christopher, a convicted criminal with a history of harming women? Or was it Timothy, the eyewitness who conveniently saw everything? We may never know. As always, I want to know what you think. Leave your thoughts and theories in the comments below. Your insights can sometimes bring new perspectives to a case like this. Thank you for tuning in, and until next time, stay safe, and remember, Cases like this remind us that the truth is sometimes stranger than we can imagine.